Alright, for this exercise we have a couple of things to look at. First of all, it's set up. We have our month range based by quarter, so you see quarter 4 2014, Q2 2015, so on. We have two practices that we're evaluating, Cumberland and Oxford, two different colors. The colors were done by practice being dropped on color. And we are looking at the average rate being graphed out. Now the average rate is actually based on the rate for each month. And so to properly capture this, the average rate will actually give you the wrong number by simply taking the average there. So instead what we want to do is we want to create a calculated field. This here I have called weighted rate. And we want to I'll just take a look and show you what I mean. So right now the rate is actually the calculation of a sum of the numerator divided by the denominator. But that's how we're going to be calculating the rates here. Up here, this is actually taking the average of the average. And so this isn't quite the number that we want to do. So instead we're going to create this calculated field called weighted rate. So we're going to sum up all the numerators in this quarter period and sum up all the denominators for that same time period and get a slightly different number. So click OK. And when we drag that up here, you can see, in fact, we'll drag it right here so we can really see. You can see the lines actually do line up slightly differently. Okay, so the dark Oxford is the average rate, and the light Oxford is that weighted rate. So it's slightly different, very close. But that's just definitely a trick to keep in mind as we're going forward through this. So we're going to drag the average rate off. It's going to give us a range right here. So these are actually, we want to report in percentages. So to do that, you just right click on the axis, click format, and what we can do is over here you'll see axis and pane. We want to click on axis and change that to percentage. And actually I like to have really not a lot of decimal places on my axes, just makes labeling less messy. So right now we have a weighted rate, we have our 0 to 70% compliance rate, and actually we could even edit this to say instead of weighted rate, down here at the bottom we can replace that with just rate, because really that's ultimately what we're getting at. Okay, and so there we have it. Last thing we want to do is rename what we're looking at. We can call this summary of, let's see, the summary of Oxford and Cumberland performance. Just as simple as that. Click OK, and actually we're going to take the measure. So we'll see Cumberland, Oxford in our little legend. All of this over here. Now, one last thing we want to consider is what are we actually measuring? We want to make sure we just select a measure specific to what we're looking at. So for this, I'm just going to select BP 140 over 90, click OK, click apply, and there we have it. So you'll see this is going to be that percentage of BP 140, less than 140 over 90. In fact, what we can do is double click on the title and we'll add that right here so that we know exactly what we're looking at. I like to make this a slightly different color just to make it stand out a little bit. Click apply, and there we have it. Now if you want, you could always go through, I'm going to change this to a single value drop down, but we could also select any of these and you'll see it's going to update automatically. Thanks.